he started doing this. Started drawing all these circles on this board. Now, I've never really been involved in anything like that. And he was sitting there telling me and my other friends how if we would just sell these phone cards, that those circles would turn into money. And I was thinking, that just can't be. How can it be? But he explained it to us. What happens is you sell a couple of these cards to your friends, and they sell them to friends, and I mean the circles got bigger and bigger, and he was showing us how we could just make thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was going, I don't know. And so anyway, I thanked him for the meal, and I left. And I didn't buy any phone cards because I just couldn't really see selling something like that to my friends. But I was driving home, and I was thinking to myself, I like that idea. Making money from not only your efforts, but the efforts of other people. And so I went home, and as I was driving home, I was thinking to myself, I was just thinking about the circles, and I got home, and I sat down on my computer, and I was still working on this computer course. And I thought, I wonder if I could sell a computer training course through this method. So I started working on it, and I kept on working on the course, and I was trying to figure out how to incorporate it into something like this. And in June of 1994, I left my house where I was living, and I drove up to visit my youngest brother. Now, at the time, he was a regional manager for a corporation called Foot Locker, which is a big shoe company in America. And back then, they were very popular. They're not so much now, but back then, that was the thing. And he was just rising up the corporate ladder really, really fast. Well, I called him one day, and I said, Stephen, I want to come up and show you something. And if you're an inventor and you call any of your friends or family members and say you want to show them something, it normally means either you need some money or you need some money.
More money.
So he reluctantly said, okay, come on up. So I drove up to Tulsa, and I got out and went in his house and set this computer up. Well, he worked for this company, and he came home at like 9, 10 o'clock at night every night. That was his schedule. He left at about 8 o'clock in the morning and came home at 9 or 10 at night. But, he was moving up that corporate ladder, making $40,000 a year, 30 years old. And so that first night I was there, it was just too late. He was too tired, so I didn't get to show him. The second night, he came home, and there were some friends there. And, he had told me that, I don't use a computer, I don't see why I need one, and, I'm just really, I don't know. So the third night, I found out later, his wife said to him, or the second night, during the night, she said to him, tomorrow night when you come home, you're going to look at whatever it is Richard has to show you, because if you don't, he might never leave. So that next night, he came home from work, and he said, okay, let's go. And we walked back in the room where I had the computer set up. We sat down at this desk, and using this formula, the way this was designed is that the person would sit here, and you'd sit behind them right here, and you would read this manual. And you tell them, click on this, double click on this, and you just give them the instructions. So I said, okay, first thing you need to do is take the mouse and he went, wait, what's a mouse? That's where we started. He didn't even know what a mouse was. Now remember, this is 1994. So I said, this is the mouse, you move it this way and it moves that little thing, you move it that way and moves it up and down. So he caught on to that real quick. So I started reading him this manual. And the way it worked was, it would say, okay, double click on that icon, and I would point to it, and he would do it, and I would tell him what to do. So I was walking him through the steps of this manual, and in just around 2 hours, he was sitting there, and we were going through it really, really fast because he wanted to get it over with, number one, but also it was designed to go through it really fast. And so finally, after just around 2 hours, he just backed his chair up from the desk, and he said, I got it. And I didn't know what he got. And And he said, let me show you. So he started doing these things, and he closed everything we had open. And he right-clicked on the desktop on this computer, and he created a folder. I'd already walked him through all this. Created this folder. And then he opened the paint program, and he drew this little car just really quick. It's just, just kind of similar, a simulation of a car. And he clicked File, Save, and he clicked on the little thing, and he found that folder, and he saved that file into that folder. Then he closed that program, and he went and opened that folder, and he clicked on that file, and he deleted it. And he said, I got it. He went from not knowing anything about a computer to within just a couple of hours feeling confident on a computer. It didn't mean he knew everything, but he felt confident. And that was my goal, what I hoped would happen. So anyway, the next day, he quit his job. And we set out to teach America, that's where we live, how to use a computer with this method. So, for the next 4.5 years, we were broke, flat broke, because nobody wanted to buy computer education through this method. Nobody. A few of our friends, gave us a little money, but that was it. And so we were going, man, this is the greatest concept in the world. To get, you have to work, but to do some work and get your friends to do some work and they get their friends and it just multiplies. I mean, it's the greatest concept in the world, greatest concept I've ever seen. So we were broke for 4.5 years. And then one day I get this phone call from my oldest sister. She lived in the town that I had moved up from when I was creating this course. I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And my sister lived in that town, and it was a 4.5-hour drive from Tulsa. So my oldest sister called me one day, and she said, look, it's Lucas, her oldest son. It's Lucas's last football game, and I know he'd really like it, or he'd really be disappointed if you didn't show up for it. And his son and my son are the same age, and I lived there for many years before I moved to Tulsa. And so I said, yeah, I'll drive down there. So I called my brother Steve up. And I said, Steve, let's drive I said, I'm going to go to Ashdown to watch Lucas's last football game. Do you want to go with me? And he said, yeah, I'll go with you. Because, we were almost at the end of our rope. 4.5 years. There's got to be a time you've got to just say, well, it's not going to work. Let's do something different. And so we're driving to Ashdown, and we were talking about this, just trying to put it all together. Why is it not working? What are we missing? What is it? And during that period of time, I've been working on developing this online website builder that I mentioned earlier. So we were driving out, and I was actually driving. He was sitting over here, and we started drawing it out. I said, we got this web builder, we've got this education. How can we sell it? And he had been out studying more of the marketing end. I'm more of the developer. He was more of the marketer, and he was studying the marketing end. And he saw, he had seen this one kind of payment plan, kind of similar to what we have here. And he was explaining it to me, and I thought, I wonder if we could put this package together with this payment plan. And so within that 4.5-hour trip, we put a program together. 100% complete program. We were just missing that trip. That's all we lacked in that 4.5 years. So we drove, by the time we got to the ball game, we were planning on spending the night that night, but we were so excited. The second that whistle blew, we were gone, and we drove straight back to Tulsa. On the way back, over those 4.5 years, we had met a lot of people and some marketers, but really only one really successful marketer in this industry. And so on our way back to Tulsa, we called this guy. We said, look, we're headed back to Tulsa. We've got something we want to show you. And he knew we were working on this because we tried to put him in this many times. And so we got back to Tulsa, and he said he agreed to meet with us the next morning. So that next morning, we went and met him in this little cafe.